So if you haven't heard, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Starting Point USA and Starting Point UK, who is known for going to college campuses and having debates with college students and opening dialogue, has been assassinated at UVU, Utah Valley University, just yesterday. A very shocking incident. If you're like me, I've been documenting and talking about the escalating acceptance of political violence in our culture for a long time, and it's been continuing to move and to grow. And obviously, if you don't know who Charlie is, before you go around and listen to people who have been celebrating his death and don't know anything about him or just didn't like him, understand that this is the guy that would go to universities and other speaking events, and he would debate people. He was all about open dialogue. He believed in the power of ideas. So this is the guy that would gently sit there and listen to people mock him, ridicule him, tell him he's stupid, and try to rally people against him, and he would patiently listen as friendly as possible, have a discourse with them. That's the guy that they shot. There are some people who just, words aren't going to make a difference. Like, watching this video doesn't bother you. It's not going to change your opinion. You know, the kind of people that attack police and, call for the mass unaliving of individuals with their protests, or, people that are celebrating this, that are on social media, like glorifying it, celebrating it, mocking his family and mocking people, like the guys that drove through a vigil for him in Idaho the other day and shouted, F Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. I don't think they care. I think the people calling for more violence, words aren't going to change them. At this point, maybe at some point they might, but at this point, no. Regardless of whether or not you agreed with Charlie in any of his viewpoints, I think that you need to understand that a call for violence is not what you think it is. There are so many young people and people in general who they think this is the answer. They think that this is going to make the world better, and the things are so crazy and terrible because they've been so pushed information that it's so bad for them that they have to resort to violence, have no idea what's coming. And that's interesting because you have all of this documentation of war and violence everywhere. Just for you never in human history, if you had so much documentation, you could look back to see real human suffering that is caused by this. And yet you still think this is a good idea. I have two final closing thoughts on this. One is that Charlie Kirk was a devout Christian, and his biblically based beliefs are mainly what people were upset with. There were some political things that people didn't like, and that's fine. You could disagree with those. I think, I didn't agree with everything that he believed. But at the same time, he is a martyr. And as they say, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And the more you unalive Christians and the more you persecute them, it seems like the more that they multiply. This is happening in the Middle East. This is like Iran. Holy cow. There are so many places where Christians have been under a severe persecution, where all of a sudden, people are just coming to Jesus. And I just want you, my message there is obviously the people that disagree with him, their threat is that all over online. You can see their threats. It's like, oh, it's going to be somebody else next. And, oh, I'd be very cautious if I were you, so-and-so. And let's go get so-and-so. And that's very common. I don't have a threat. The warning I have, historically, this doesn't end well in your favor when you go this route. And you can't hide truth permanently. It eventually comes out. Eventually, it comes to the surface. And when your whole tactic for winning debates and winning society is to bully and is to assassinate and to unalive people, or it is to censor, eventually, that fails. And I do want you to know that. My second warning is that those of you who are not watching all of media, you're just watching one side of the news. Like maybe you're watching what you see on mainstream social media, like Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff, okay? You don't see what's happening on the right because you don't see their opinions. You have to go to X and Truth Social and places like that. You don't see what the right is talking about. This has inspired them. This has motivated them. This on top of a long chain of violent events coming from the left and Islamists in Europe and in the United States. And they are noticing. It's not like 10, 20 years ago when this stuff would happen and nobody knew about it. They know about it. X doesn't censor unless it's harassment or calling for violence or something like that. So they see the footage, they see all the news, they see the stuff, and they are motivated like never before. Charlie Kirk has brought them together and made them realize they are fighting evil. And some of them on the right are not Christians like me who believe in just war as a last resort or that violence is not your number one answer. And I worry about the conflict that is coming. And I've been saying this part for 20 years, that if you push for violence, violence eventually comes. And if you act in violence, violence will eventually come. And I am always going to be the voice that is saying violence last. We do not push violence. We talk like Charlie Kirk. We talk with words. Like, I want Jesus to get a hold of your heart and to touch you. And I want us to have a free exchange. And I want us to know each other and love each other. And even if you don't agree and you're not ever a Christian and you hate my viewpoints, that's okay. I want to live next to you in peace. There are many people that are losing that patience. And this is not going to go well. There's going to be chaos like you don't know. There's already chaos. It's chaos already, but it's going to get even worse. And my third warning is just personal. Just don't do anything stupid or say something stupid. If you go online celebrating somebody's death, when he had a family and 2 kids, and he never called for violence himself, and he was all about exchange, that's a terrible look. Like, people are getting fired over that. You may think it's okay, and there may be very prominent public figures and politicians that act like it's okay, but it's not okay. I would never say these things to my worst enemies. Even like leaders of terrorist organizations, I wouldn't say these kinds of things to them, because I hold that judgment for God. Be careful what you say for your own sake, right? Because people see that, and it reveals your character. And you can't get that back once it's out there. Anyway, I hope you got some good things out of that. I hope, like me, you're looking at this from a good vantage point and in the spirit of what Charlie believed in. Even if you don't agree with me and my beliefs, like if you like Charlie or if you dislike Charlie, understand that he was about the free exchange of ideas and non-violence. And violence is a last resort. And I would definitely encourage you to uphold that and keep the free exchange of ideas going so we can talk before it comes to human suffering.